I'm making this video so that other personal project coordinators or heads of grade 10 or anyone involved with the personal project can adapt this to support the students in their school. So on November 14th, which is a Tuesday, we have a half day in the auditorium where students get given a checklist and they can kind of catch up with personal project, making sure everything is actually in their process journal, not all over the place, making sure they've done everything required so far. So they're going to be reminded of the assessment in this. They're going to be checking that their process journal reflects all the work they've done, and they're going to be thinking about how that process journal will help them write the report. So they need to remember that looking at their process journal, when they come to write their report, it should basically be like magnetic poetry. For every single strand, they should be able to easily write about what they've done, and they should be easily able to pick evidence to support that they've done that, including selecting their 10 process journal entries at the end. So I put an example here, Criterion A, which is define a clear goal and global context based on the personal interest, and so they should have that in their journal. So a lot of the students will have it in their heads or they've discussed it, but they need to actually make sure it's down there. So that's really the focus on this afternoon. However, we're going to start the session by watching this awesome music video. It's by the band called OK Go, and it's basically shot in 4 seconds and then slowed down to 4 minutes. And actually, it's a bunch of shots stuck together that make 4 seconds. So they're going to think about. Firstly, it's a very impressive video. I show often OK Go videos to my advisory. They're going to think about if this was a personal project, what stages would they have gone through to complete that, how would they have used strong approaches to learning or ATLs, and what might their process journal look like. So the video itself is very, very cool. They must have used very, very high quality cameras. They could slow it down enough. Everything is timed perfectly. So they must have been very, very organized when doing that. And I'm actually going to, at this point, get the students to kind of brainstorm and then say out loud some of the things that they think they'll be in this process journal. Probably they'll say those are awesome things. And I'm just going to say then, so how do we know that they have evidence to support each strand from each criterion? That's probably where they're going to look a bit puzzled. And what I'm going to do now is go through. Firstly, we're going to watch. I lie. We're actually going to watch this video before we do that exercise. But then we're going to go through criterion and by criterion, strand by strand. So I'm going to get them to look at criterion A, strand I, and think about what might be in the process journal. And I've just put some examples. So the goal, a 4-minute video for the song, The One Moment, which highlights the sponsor, which is a salt company. Global context, scientific and technical innovation, so they're focused really on the learning that they want to do. It's not just producing this awesome video which tells about themselves, or it's not about making money, it's not about anything like that. It's really looking at this new technique they're going to use. They're going to be focusing on systems, models, methods, products, processes, and solutions. So in the making of video, you'll see that they go to the hangar warehouse space for ages. Maybe a month before, and they explode different things, and they have to really test angles and all sorts of things. They're really focusing on being very, very detailed to make the effects that they want to happen in that video. And then personal interest, here they might have a description of the previous videos that they've made, maybe how this one kind of, even though it's not technically a single shot video, it looks like one, and it's got the Rube Goldberg inspiration, so it's very similar to previous videos. I then on each, basically I'm going to go through criterion by criterion, strand by strand, and then I'm going to give an example of what a 7 to 8 would look like. And I'll ask students, do they think that they would have enough evidence in their process journal of just what I gave, or would they need more? And I'm going to repeat this over and over again, so I'll just show you a couple more. Criterion A, prior learning. So here they've talked about the previous videos they've made. They've also, again this is made up, in their theatre class they've been making storyboards. They talk about how that will help them with the planning of this video. In science class they've made a Rube Goldberg machine and also studied physics, which will also help them in planning the logistics. So some of our students struggle here if they haven't done something in class which is exactly the same as personal project, which obviously they shouldn't have. They really struggle to make those connections. So here I'm just telling them about techniques or skills they've learned in different classes that could apply to this video. and again a description of 7 or 8, and I go the whole way through. And each thing is not an exhaustive list. I've just given some examples which might equate to that. And I have this all the way till Criterion D, strand 3. However, our students are only halfway through working on their personal project, so they're not going to go all the way here. I'm actually going to stop them halfway through. So they would have gone all the way to here, and then I'm going to give them a checklist. Now the checklist, it has things that we've done in boot camp, things we've done in advisory, maybe emails I sent them with templates, and it tells them, before basically I kind of would tell them roughly the criterion and strand, I wouldn't make it so explicit. Whereas here I've said, for example, in my process journal I've documented my brainstorm ideas for my project and made sure my goal is SMART. And I've put that in Criterion A, strand 1. I've gone through, I've made sure everything is checked off. You will also see that although we're really halfway through, there's also one lurking here for Criterion C and strand 2 and 3, so thinking skills, communication and social skills. That is only because I give them this spreadsheet here, and throughout the process in our advisory we look at each skill area and we pick out 1, 2 or 3 skills that either they have been demonstrating or skills that they want to improve. I also make sure that if it's this one only has one type of skill, but in thinking skills, for example, it has critical, creative and transfer, I make sure that they pull out at least one. And they'll do this several times, but because they've already looked at thinking and communication and social, I thought I'd include that in the checklist. If you go back to my OK Go presentation, because you might, for example, not use this at the halfway point, you will see that on some of the pages, like this one, demonstrate thinking skills, I've done the same exercise. So maybe for OK Go's critical thinking skills, they evaluated and managed risk, which is one of the indicators here. And I've said that they repeated safety checks during planning. Creative thinking skills, use brainstorming and visual diagrams to generate new ideas and inquiries. Brainstorming allows what to make explode. Transfer skills, combine knowledge, understanding and skills to create products or solutions. So list the skills learned in previous videos and how they will be used. I also am going to use this chart just to let the students know that no matter where they are, they kind of feel really behind, or if they're way ahead, there's things they can be doing and there's people there to help them. So hopefully this checklist will really get them on track. Some of those that will have fallen behind, it will give them a bit of a kick up the butt. And the kids who are way ahead are usually the kids that are super independent anyway, so they're going to be able to skip ahead and look at these slides without my instruction. So if you have any questions about this, please let me know.